South African bowlers toil away against New Zealand on day one of the first test at the Bay Oval. It has been quite a tricky day one for South Africa. The bowlers really putting in a lot of hard work, trying to get wickets, trying to make breakthroughs in order to put New Zealand on the back foot and get an early advantage in this particular match. So we'll be discussing day one, what went right, what went wrong, decision around the toss, everything that has to do with this particular match we'll be covering on today's show. It is only day one, and we'll be obviously covering every single day as soon as the day's play ends. So that's what we're going to be talking about on today's show. Of course, as you know, this is the review show. So we're going to be talking about what South Africa could have done better, where we lacked, and where we can improve going into day two. But before we get going, before we get started, first and foremost, I'd like you guys to please subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell for all future videos. I'd also like you guys to please subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine Monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. And we've also recently launched the Cricket Fanatics Magazine Business Corner. It is for businesses, entrepreneurs, and startups. If you want to market effectively and affordably to a cricket audience, or if you want to learn about marketing in this modern day society, this is the site for you. Go ahead, click the link on the screen or in the description, and you'll get a lot of free information that's going to actually help you out. And if you want to take the next step, you can have a discussion with us free of charge, and we can see how we can help you guys market effectively and affordably to any audience or a cricket audience if you want to do that on our platform. So go ahead and check that links out as well. But without further ado, let's get straight into today's review and let's discuss what took place in this particular match. A very good morning and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your review show. I'm your host, Khalid Moeddin. This is the show where we talk about everything that happened on day one of the first test between South Africa and New Zealand. So let's start off with the beginning of the match, the toss, and the little bit of hope that South Africa gave us, that these bowlers gave us in the start of this match. There were some puzzling figures around in the commentary box after South Africa elected to bowl first, on day one. A lot of them said that, but that is what you do in New Zealand because you're normally going to get some nip around and movement in the first session, and you're obviously going to try and get as many wickets as possible early on to put the pressure on the opposition team. Now, South Africa couldn't have gotten a, I would say, a better start to this test series, considering the players that we are playing in this match. That's something that we need to also take into consideration, is that the bowlers that we picked are experienced ones, are guys that have been playing domestic cricket for some time. Some of them have played test cricket before. And I'm going to go into where we are lacking with regards to this. But I'm saying why we couldn't get off to a better start. Sipho Moreki, first wicket of test cricket on his first delivery, dismissing Devon Conway, which was a massive wicket. And I think that was a lot of positivity from that perspective. And then we got another wicket a little bit later on. So in the seventh, I think it was in the 17th over, we took out Tom Latham, Dane Patterson getting the wicket of him, finding an edge and caught by Fontaine. And New Zealand were in a little bit of a spot of a bother, you could say, at 39 for 2 after 17 overs. And then I think majority of the day we bowled okay, we bowled pretty well. I think ultimately we until tea we bowled decently. I think they were 190 for 2 by tea. But drinks actually 190 for 2, and we looked pretty decent. By tea we were 125 for 2 after 52 overs. And the funny thing about that is that what cost us today is the fielding, and we can't sugarcoat that. Uh, Kane Williamson, okay, it was a difficult chance for Eddie Moore, but Kane Williamson was dropped on 45, and now he's gone on to score 100. But the most shocking one was the Dwan Olivier missed opportunity to take out Ravindra um, in the 80s. That was the biggest chance that was missed, and that could have changed the game a lot for South Africa from an energy perspective. Because as you see in this final session, the energy in the field has dropped. There hasn't really been much talking or cheering on in this particular session, and it's the session that cost us the most. Uh, like I said, by drinks after tea, New Zealand were 190 for 2. They're now sitting on 258 for 2 with 2 players on centuries. And you can analyze the bowling performance 100% by how difficult it actually was for Ravindra and Kane Williamson to score runs. By the end of the day, I mean, Kane Williamson, 259 of 112 balls, and Russian Ravindra 211 of 118 balls. So it hasn't been easy for them to necessarily get their runs on the board. That they had to work for their runs because we bowled decently, I would say. But I think that the bowling attack was always going to be the big issue, I think. Yes, the batting unit, people are going to say because there's inexperience there, but I do think that this wicket will get older. I don't think there's going to be much in this wicket as the sea as the days go on, as this match goes on. I think it can get it's going to get flatter. That's my analysis of the situation. And I think the thought process was to get a couple of wickets early on and then try and bowl them out for as least amount as possible, and then go out and bat and bat and bat. And I think also give our batters the best opportunity to bat, and that would be batting second, in my opinion, on this particular wicket, because the greenness in the wicket that was obviously there as well because of the covers. Um, uh, because it was raining, I think 2 days ago. So this wicket has been undercover. So the greenish would have been a little bit, I would say, deceiving in a way, because we knew that it's going to be hot and the sun would be baking on the pitch and it will get easier to bat on as the days go on. But we would have liked, I would have liked us to take one or two extra wickets. And I think those two missed opportunities are going to have cost South Africa dearly. Um, but the major concern is that we don't necessarily have any enforcers, I would say, not enforcers, but guys that can bowl quickly. And we are hovering around the 125, 28, 130, early 130 marks, all of our bowlers. I was a little bit excited when I saw Dwan Olivier run in for his first delivery of the day, and it was 140 Ks. I was like, wait a minute, are we going to see the Dwan Olivier of old that bangs it in 140, 145? But the delivery after that, he went back into his 120s, and he's bowling 122, 123, 125 kilometers per hour, which is a big concern. And as well as Dane Patterson, to an extent, also reaching those numbers and not getting those 130s consistently. Tsepo Mareke has actually bowled really well, hitting his marks consistently as well as bowling at a decent pace. But the lack of pace that we have in this bowling lineup is the major concern for me. There's nothing to the reason why New Zealand have survived the period is that yes, we've bowled good areas, but it was easy for New Zealand batters, particularly Kane Williamson, to just leave the deliveries. He's a very good lever of the ball. There's a reason why he's number one test bowler in the number one test batter in the world, and he's proving it. No need to play at any deliveries that he didn't need to. Should have been out on 45, but should have, could have, would have. That is a situation we are sitting in currently. And at the moment, it's looking very difficult for us to take 20 wickets. Um, the Swart bowled well and should have had 2 wickets to his name. And poor fielding obviously uh, prevented that from happening. So him as well, bowling in 118s, 120s mark. I thought he was a lot quicker than what I'm seeing over here as well. But it's going to take a lot of work for this team to get 20 wickets. You could see them getting tired towards the end of the day. That could be due to age, you could say, perhaps. But I mean, all of these players are playing for their cricket and a bowled long spell, so I don't think it's that. And I think we need to tighten our lines a little bit more. A lot of the balls are going over the stumps, and I don't think we're playing. Um, I don't think we testing the batters enough, making them play enough as the day went on. I think the first 2 sessions or so, I think particularly the first session and the second and the first half of the second session, we were we were bowling really well to allow that potential edge or making the batters play a little bit. I think we were extra exceptional in the first session because we were doing that quite a bit, particularly Tsepo Moreki. I've been very concerned with Dwan Olivier though. Dwan Olivier, if he's not going to get his pace, if his pace can't be up there in the 140s, then he needs to get his accuracy and consistency right and make the batters play. There's too many balls that are just going past the batters and with no red flags on them or with no um, particular danger on the deliveries. It's been pretty easy for the New Zealand batters just to leave the ball. So definitely, New Zealand are currently, I feel, on top of this day one. After day one, it's clear to see. The score is currently 258 for two, and like I said, Kane Williams is on 112, and Russian Ravindra is on 118, and they're looking quite calm at the crease. Now, what makes it even more terrifying is that they still have a lot of batters to come. They still have a lot of good batters to come. Daryl Mitchell, Tom Blundell, Glenn Phillips, Mitchell Santner, Kyle Jamison, Matt Henry, Tim Southey. These are all guys that can add extra pain or extra hurt to the misery that South Africa can be facing. So there's not a lot to talk about with regards to the first day. It always is the case with Test cricket. Or not always is the case, unless you cover the India series. There was a hell of a lot to talk about when we covered the India series. But in general, I think that we did give our batters, we are going to give our batters the best chance to bat by choosing to bat second, but we needed our bowlers to take more wickets. We needed our bowlers to create more pressure on New Zealand. And it's amazing what one session can do because I think we bowled, like I said, I think we bowled okay for the first 2 sessions, but at the same time, I don't think we have enough pace um, or fire to be able to really trouble the New Zealand batters, and that is a little bit of a concern. Now, when you look in a domestic setup and you look around, and fans are going to say, couldn't they have picked anybody younger, or couldn't they have picked anybody that uh, that's maybe younger when it comes to our fast bowlers in South Africa, there's a reason why Gerald Coetzee, Marco Jansen uh, are in the test side already. Uh, there's definitely a reason for that, and that's because they are the two fast-paced bowlers that are good enough to take the step up. There aren't a lot of 140k bowlers in South African cricket at the moment, and when you're talking about fast bowlers, young fast bowlers in the country, there's a reason why we're talking about Kwena Mapaka at the moment, and I think it's a little bit too early for him to be spoken about for South Africa right now. I think that there's he's bowled beautifully in this World Cup, but it's against boys, and I want to see what he can do against men in a division team. There aren't many 140 bowlers that are available. I mean, the bowlers that are available are all playing SA20, and that's where I had probably the main concern was there. The fact that we've had to ask players that would probably not see Proteas game again. Um, we had to ask them to come play. In the batting department, I feel that the players we've called up, oh, a lot of them are fringe players or future talents that can play, even in the all-rounder department. I think so. So it's with the bowlers that we had to go with the experienced guys, because when you look at the second best in the country and compare that to the third best, there's a massive gap. So our first choice bowlers are all playing SC20. Our second string bowlers that that have done well domestically are all playing SC20. And then you have from the next best, experience is probably going to be the next best option. So I was maybe expecting them to be a little faster than they are in this particular match. I didn't think that we would be bowling 125s consistently. I thought that we would hit low 130s, mid 130s. I didn't expect us to bowl so many 120 kilometer per hour deliveries. And I think that's making it easier for New Zealand to handle the situation. Tom Latham and Devon Conway lost their wickets when we were bowling at 130 in and as the day goes on, obviously those kilometers per hour are going to drop, and they did drop, and it's making it a lot easier for the New Zealand batters to leave the ball. And we are not testing these two batters enough. And also, then on top of that, when you're going to drop catches and not take your chances against a team like New Zealand, it's going to cost you. And currently, that's where we are sitting at. So it's only day one, and I'm not going to get too ahead of myself. And there's no need to get upset, I think, at this time. I wasn't going to get upset at this particular period. It's only day one, and a lot can happen on in the first session of a test match. And we currently have taken the new ball, so the hope for me is that we get some early wickets tomorrow in the first session. There's a little bit of a strategy talk about where they need to place those deliveries now that they have a better understanding of the wicket. I think they can be a lot tighter. If you're going to bowl those at this pace, at 120s, 125s, you better be sure that you're going to you have to get your accuracy right. You better make sure that you hit your marks consistently and you make the batters at least play. So that's my analysis of the day. So I'm going to go into your thought process and your thoughts on the show and what you guys have had to say as well. I'm going to see if there's been any comments on social media. I know there have been some fans that have stayed up to watch this game, like myself. But let's get into the live chats along. So GB says, hey, tough to watch. Wish we took those chances. Hoping something can happen tomorrow morning. So we are all. Wonderboy says terrible bowling and fielding performance. I wouldn't say it's a terrible bowling performance. I think we bowled pretty decently. I think that we are just missing pace and we need to be a little bit tighter. And of course, the fielding performance, yeah, we should be taking our catches. We definitely need to take our catches. If you're gonna play against a team like this, you have to take your chances. There's no excuse for that really. And a player of Dwan Olafier's experience should be taking that catch. It's as simple as that. Eddie Moore, you could maybe say, was a bit unlucky. It was a little bit difficult, but I would expect him to take that catch as well, given his quality as a player. So, yeah, that's my thought process on that one. Lauren saying we actually bowled well for majority of the match of the day. Mareki being the standout for me, ran in all day and just kept in a good length. Drop catches costing us in the end. 100%. Wonderboy saying also terrible captaincy. Well, the captain doesn't really have much options really to pick from when it comes to the bowling. So um, I don't think his captaincy has been terrible. I think he's been safe. And the talking points and the points that cost us is clear to see. I mean, you take Williams's catch on 45, it's a whole different ball game. You know, uh, at that particular stage in the match when the team is just past 100, I mean, you should be taking those catches and putting the pressure back on because that's the only way these bowlers are going to put the pressure back on New Zealand is with wickets. It's not going to be with fierce deliveries and stuff, as you can clearly see. So we need to take wickets to put the pressure back on and give ourselves the best chance. As things are going right now, I see a big score being posted and a declaration happening. And South Africa's batters having to go out there and do the hard yards and bat as long as possible um, to to stay in the match. So some people might say, but Hardy, you shouldn't be shocked by this, um, the pace and all of those things. But I am a little bit because we don't have a speed gun for the 4 day games. It's not televised, so we don't know actually the pace that these bowlers are bowling at. They look a lot quicker. Like Dane Patterson looks a lot quicker when he's playing for Western Province at Newlands, for example. Um, and Dwan Olivier, I don't get to see him bowl much because it's not televised. But we knew this about Dwan Olivier. We saw this already that his pace had dropped by 20 Ks since he came back from England, which is crazy. Uh, so we knew that his pace was going to be off. Myself, and Werner spoke about this on last night's preview show. We mentioned that that's going to be an issue, and I was hoping that he would get a little bit more swing. He gets more swing out of the hand, I would say, than off the deck, and he would test the New Zealand bowlers a lot more, but he didn't. He didn't actually. Out of the three bowlers today, I think he was probably four bowlers today, pace bowlers today. I think actually he was probably the worst out of the four. Um, I mean, Ruanda Swat creating two clear cut chances for us to get back into the match again, and you could see how that the other spirits dropped a bit. I think we need to get the energy up again tomorrow. Get a good rest tonight. Strategize a little bit, and I think Pete Porter has a job to do to get our bowlers to maybe just tighten their lines a little bit more. I do think that we can be a little bit more stump to stump in certain regards and be more consistent with regards to that. GB saying really missing a frontline spinner and a pacer, 140 kilometers per hour. Interesting selection going in with three bowlers. That was a bit of an interesting one. Uh, I think the spinner will probably come into play day 3, day 4. Uh, so second innings for New Zealand more. Uh, I think the spinners they have picked. I think they've got three spinning options in their team. They've picked Mitchell Santner, so they've got a spinner in their team, and they've also got Glenn Phillips that can spin a bit, and Ravindra as well. So they've got three spinning options. We've got one, and I don't think in this scenario, if there was more in the wicket, then I would have then this would have been a good option. But this pitch by no means is going to be a massive. It doesn't seem like that's going to be a massive turner anyway. Um, at least for South Africa. Jay, I think the discipline of this bowling attack could even rival our frontline bowlers. Really great work. They just don't have the pace and skill to affect mistakes by the batsman. And that's what I said was going to happen. At least what you get with experienced bowlers is that they do know how to be consistent, and they do know how to put balls in good areas, and they know how to read conditions to know where to place the ball. But when you lack the pace to really scare the opposition, it does allow them to ease their way into the not ease their way into the match, but it allows them to slowly grow into a match, like we saw both of these batters do. We didn't put enough pressure on them. They kind of it's almost like they kind of knew that if they get themselves in and they bat time, they'll get a century or they'll get a good score, and that's what happened. So South Africa is going to need to utilize this new ball as best as possible tomorrow morning. That's our best chance. What's worrying, however, is Olivier Patterson operating around 125 kilometers per hour. The SWAT is even much lower, and that's the problem we got. We don't have an all-round pace attack to really take 20 wickets. I feel the best bowler is the SWAT. Dwan Olivier is not there anymore, lacks pace and bounce. Aruna says pro New Zealand bowlers also didn't have a lot of pace. Uh, but yeah, but they're not bowling 120s. That's that's like the difference. They've always had one bowler that can bowl in the 140s though. Trent Boult, um, um, what's his name now? I can have Ferguson. So they've got bowlers that can bowl in that at that pace. Look here, we can't criticize too much until the second team has batted. And from what I've seen so far, that this is going to be a good batting wicket going into the second innings uh, as it dries up. I do think that we're going to have to be switched on when it comes to spin, so that's going to be important. Brian says, have you been watching the Under 19 World Cup? Thoughts on Luandre Pretorius? I have been watching the Under 19 World Cup. It's been exciting to watch. I think Luandre Pretorius is a very good prospect. I think Steve Stork is a very good prospect. I think that Quinn Mapaka is a very good, obviously, we know, it's a good prospect. But I also think that I've been impressed with Norton as well with regards to the bowling front, as well as Loose to an extent as well from the bowler's perspective. But the player that I said stood out to me so far, and that's not because stood out because of performance wise, and I'm talking about amount of runs scored necessarily. It's more approach to the game and attitude. Is Devon Malan? Sorry, Devon Malan. Devon Murray. I was going to say David. David, I got Malan mixed up. Devon Murray for me has been the one for me that I think stands out. Uh, I've liked the way he's approached his game, coming in at the bottom of the order, attacking mindset, can mix his game up, quite adaptable. So I've enjoyed him a lot in this tournament. But also Steve Stork is very talented, and of course Leandro Pretorius back-to-back half centuries has been phenomenal as well. So I've been enjoying the SA side. I do feel there are concerns though. because at the moment we are relying on individual performances. And generally speaking, in the SA 19 World Cup, in the under 19 World Cup, that generally is the case. We know that in the last World Cup, we relied heavily on George van Heerden for runs as well as Deval Brevis for runs. Um, and in this particular World Cup, uh, it is Kwena Mapaka that we were relying on heavily. First player in under 19 cricket to get four fifers or 5 wicket hauls. So he's, and in the World Cup when we won it, we also relied heavily on Aiden Markram and Khisor Rabada. Not to knock any of the other players that did okay, but we did rely on those two players a lot to win us games. So that generally is how the under 19 World Cup works and how it is. But it's very positive that there are a couple of players, like I've named four in this particular, 4 or 5 players I've been quite impressed with in this particular World Cup so far. And I think for me, we are in a good space because generally speaking, I would only ask 1 or 2 players to come through the system every year. If we get 3, lucky. So the fact that we've got 4 or 5 players that have impressed me so far in this World Cup tournament is a very big positive. So yes, we need to be tested against maybe a bigger opposition, I would say. Not saying that any of the other teams that we played are slouches, but the semi-final is going to be a big uh, eye opener for South Africa to see how these players can play mentally. We need to slow down though when it comes to our younger players. I feel that maybe we are too quick to say this player must go straight into the Proteas and he's a world class and he's a great player. It's good to get excited about these players, and I don't think we should stop. But I think we do need to give these players an opportunity, a chance to develop as cricketers. There are still going to be technical flaws in their game. There's going to still be flaws within their mentality and their thinking. When you're young and you're inexperienced, you can play with a lot more freedom and you can play with a lot more risk. When players start to work you out, start to test your technique, that's when you really start to develop as a player. So I want us to give those players a chance. I think with fast bowlers, you can probably uh, fast track fast bowlers into national setups a lot easier and a lot quicker. It's a lot easier to do so with a fast bowler, but with batters, I think they still need to develop their technique. They still need to find their and consistency because batting is all about consistency. Um, Lawrence saying Moreke during the CSA One Day Cup actually bowled quickly, clocking 140 plus. He can get you there, probably just settling in first. Yeah, so it's kind of unfortunate if he is settling in because we kind of needed that pace in this last session. Um, I think that if we hit around that pace in the last session, at least maybe twice every over, if we could do that, or um, hit that pace a little bit more often, we would have caused them a lot more issues and it would have been a lot harder for them to settle in and bat the time that they needed. So, yeah, pace is definitely lacking in this particular match, and it is plain to see. GB saying the big reason I think we should have included the spinner is because our 2 spinners are some of the most experienced players in the squad and will be able to hold up and in for half the day. Also, the over rate. I don't want to be in a situation where we lose WTC points or points in this match because of flippant slow over rate. We can't afford that at the moment. So we need to also take that into consideration. Price says bowled well, but we can't drop catches as batsmen of this quality won't give you 100% true. And that's why I said thumbnail says missed chances cost South Africa. It's the headline of the show. You can't afford to drop catches, especially when you are in the situation that we're currently in. We knew that these players, if they were going to get results or do well, they would have to play out of their skins and have to do everything right, and the basics at least need to be right. And the little extra vuma or the little extra energy needed to come from uh, within the squad and the team environment that they're creating. So you need to get your basics right and catch the ball. I mean, come on. I mean, Kane Williamson would have been a massive wicket at that point, and as well as Ravindra. So it is unfortunate. Avena saying Pretorius and Steve Stalk are both exciting prospects. Contrasting approaches with Pretorius likely to be more consistent and Stalk to be more imposing in short bursts. Kani saying expecting our batters to score 400 plus as well. We have the SWAT coming in at number 8. Definitely our batters can score big. They can if they are patient, I think. If they This is not a test match. I think feel that we should go with that attacking brand of cricket that we want to play necessarily. I think attack the balls that are there to eat, but we might need to have a what's happening here now. We might need to have a situation where we need to grind it out, just like Kane Williamson has, and just like just like Kane Williamson has and Ravinda have. But I do think the pitch is going to ease up a bit as the game goes on. I don't know what's happening with my light now. It's not working. Anyway, Lawrence saying, being super impressed with Riley Norton, just always seems to put in a performance with both bat and ball, going quietly about his business. Yeah, like I mentioned him as one of my players that I think have done well. Bryce saying Mapaka has been outstanding. Yes, Mapaka has been outstanding. Definitely has been. Let me just read some of the comments that are on Facebook and some of the reactions that have taken place regarding this match. I'll share it with you guys now. Just give me 2 seconds. So people have been commenting on our team post. So short, Ross Phillips saying short, some decent bowlers here. Batsmen seem okay. It's been our assessment as well. Sanele Gumere says joke. Justin says enjoy chasing leather boys, have fun in the field. A bit of a negative comment there. Dishan saying Ruanda Swat, he's really happy about this. 5 years too late, mate. CSA went with Antile, Dwayne, and Parnell instead of this guy, says Vishen. Watching the penalty shootout that was last night. Yeah, congratulations to Bavana Bafana for going through. I think I've got load shedding at the moment. That's why the light went out. Oliver needs to up his pace. Too slow. Any bowler above 140 Ks. That's been the problem. Pace. It's 100% been the problem. We need to, we really need to find a way on how to. I don't know how we can. I don't know. I don't think it's something we can fix right now, of course. So yeah, South Africa's match situation currently. For day two, we need to get some wickets in that first over, in that first session. Sorry, with a new ball. Try and make them play. Try and get them early, and restrict them to as much as possible. That's obviously going to be the strategy. But I think South Africa bowlers can tighten their lines a little bit more. If they can't get their pace up, then they can tighten their lines a little bit more, bowl more stump to stump, and try and find that edge or LBW shouts, etc. The only way you can see, if you do put the ball in a good position on the pitch, that it has caused New Zealand a little bit of trouble. We just need to do that more often and more consistently. Dwan Olivier has to go. reflect and try and find a lot more consistency and a lot more accuracy with regards to putting that ball into dangerous spots for the opposition batters, because with the pace that he's bowling at, he's not going to cause much problems. Those 120-kilometer bounces are not going to cause any. Uh, it's not going to strike any fear into any batter's hearts. So that's the kind of situation that we are at. Thanks a lot, guys, for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to obviously subscribe and click the notification bell for future videos. We are on the route to 5,000 subscribers. We're not far away. So please share this with all South African fans that you know that like South African cricket, because this is the channel for South African cricket. So go ahead and send it to as many fans, cricket lovers that you know. And let's get to that 5K mark. That is our next milestone that we are aiming for. Thanks a lot, everybody, for watching, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow with another review show, same time, same place. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day. There is some cricket happening. There is some sport happening this weekend. So there is a lot to look forward to for the day. If you guys haven't stayed up throughout the match, then you can have some test cricket is on to, and obviously there is some SA20 on today. Sunrisers are taking on the Paul Royals, and then we are into the playoffs on Tuesday. So yeah, go and enjoy yourself. Go and have a great day. I'm gonna catch up on some sleep probably, and so I can be up for that SA20 game as well. At the moment, it's not necessarily very important, that particular game, but it's cricket nonetheless. But thank you for watching, everybody. Let's hope that South Africa can get some early wickets tomorrow, and put take the fight to New Zealand. All we can ask for from this team is a good fight and not giving up. At least get the spirit up in the field, boys. Stay positive, stay energized as best as possible. I know it's hot out there. I know it's tricky. I know it's it's hard when batters are batting for over 200 balls for 100, and chances are getting dropped, etc., or missed. So just keep your heads up, keep positive, put in the toil, and you'll get your reward. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow with another review show. Peace out, everyone.